On a faraway planet, deep in the galaxy, ancient tales whispered about a legendary armor. This armor was said to possess unimaginable power, capable of changing the fate of entire civilizations. It had been passed down for centuries, yet no alien race had ever been able to wear it successfully. The armor was large and imposing, crafted from materials unknown to science. Its shimmering surface was a mix of metallic and organic textures, glowing with an otherworldly light. Every alien species that had tried to wear it had failed. The armor rejected them, its power too much for them to handle. No one knew why it worked this way. But the legend remained clear. Only the most powerful being in the universe could wield it. The armor lay dormant for many years, hidden away on a forgotten planet, a place no one dared to explore. But everything changed the day a human, an ordinary explorer, stumbled upon it. This human was far from the powerful warriors and advanced beings who roamed the galaxy. He was just a small, seemingly insignificant person from a distant, unknown world. Earth. The humans had not been part of the galaxy's major powers, and their existence was barely acknowledged. But fate had other plans for this one human. He had been sent on a mission, just like any other explorer. His task was simple: gather information and report back. But during his journey, he unknowingly crossed paths with the armor. It was hidden deep in a cave, covered in dust and forgotten by time. The human had no idea what he had found when he first touched it. He was tired, lost, and hungry. His exploration had led him to this strange planet, and he had no way of knowing what lay ahead. He had entered the cave, seeking shelter from the storm outside, and that was when he saw it, glowing faintly in the darkness. The human was drawn to it, not because he understood its significance, but because of its beauty. He reached out and touched the surface of the armor, his fingers brushing against the cool metal. Immediately, a surge of energy ran through him, as if the armor was alive and aware of his presence. The human's heart raced. He pulled his hand back, startled by the strange sensation. He wasn't sure if it was the storm or something else that made him feel this way, but there was no denying that something about the armor had affected him. The more he stared at the armor, the more it seemed to call out to him, whispering a silent promise of power and knowledge. The human, unable to resist, decided to explore further. The armor was not only beautiful but seemed strangely inviting, as if it wanted him to wear it. He wondered why no one had ever used it before, why the tales of its power were all that remained. As he examined it more closely, the human noticed intricate symbols carved into its surface. They were unlike anything he had seen before. They seemed to shift and change depending on how he looked at them. It was as though the armor was communicating with him, guiding him to understand its secrets. He reached out once again, and this time, his hand felt warm as he placed it on the armor's chest plate. He had no idea what would happen next, but he knew something extraordinary was about to unfold. Suddenly, a loud rumble echoed through the cave. The ground beneath his feet shook as if the planet itself was waking up. The human's heart raced faster. He tried to pull away, but the armor seemed to have a hold on him. It wasn't just an object. It was alive, and it had chosen him. A bright light erupted from the armor, blinding him for a moment. When the light faded, the human stood there, his body surrounded by a strange energy field. He felt stronger, faster, more aware than ever before. The armor had connected with him, as if it recognized his potential. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, alien races had long been fascinated by the stories of the armor's power. They had sent countless warriors to claim it, but each had failed. The armor rejected them, its power too great for them to control. The council of the most powerful alien leaders in the galaxy had been watching the situation closely. They had seen many capable beings try to wear the armor, but none had succeeded. The armor had always seemed to sense their weakness, rejecting them and leaving them empty-handed. The council believed that only the strongest being could ever hope to wield the armor. They had sent their best warriors, their most powerful generals, to the hidden planet, hoping to unlock the secrets of the armor. But each time, the outcome was the same: failure. The armor had shown no mercy. The council began to question whether the armor was even meant to be used by anyone. They wondered if it was a myth, a story designed to fool the weak into thinking they could control such power. But when the human, a mere outsider, touched the armor, the council's spies detected a change. They felt a shift in the energy surrounding the ancient artifact. Something had happened that they had never anticipated. The human, with no known power or status, was now wearing the armor. The council could hardly believe their sensors when they detected the human's newfound energy levels. He was no longer just a simple explorer. He had become something more. The alien leaders convened in secrecy. They discussed the situation with growing concern. Who was this human? How had he succeeded where so many others had failed? And more importantly, what did this mean for the galaxy? The alien races had been in control for so long, and the thought of a human, an insignificant species in their eyes, gaining such power was troubling. The armor had always been a symbol of strength, and now it had chosen a human. Meanwhile, the human had no idea what he had just become a part of. He was still overwhelmed by the armor's power, unsure of how to control it. It felt as though the armor had fused with him, its energy flowing through his veins. He felt like he could do anything: run faster than light, crush mountains with a single punch, or even reshape the world around him. But he was afraid. The power was too much, too overwhelming. He could sense the weight of the responsibility he now carried. The human stood there in the cave, staring at his reflection in the armor. He could feel the eyes of countless alien races upon him, watching, waiting. But he didn't know what to do. He didn't know if he was ready for what was to come. In that moment, the only thing the human knew for sure was that the galaxy would never be the same again. And neither would he. The human stood in the cave, still in shock. The armor had fused with him, its energy flowing through his body like a river of pure power. He could feel every fiber of the armor vibrating with life. His mind raced, trying to comprehend what had just happened. The moment he touched the armor, it had awakened, choosing him, transforming him into something more than just a man. But what was he supposed to do now? His body felt different, stronger, faster, more aware. He took a step forward, and the ground beneath him seemed to tremble in response, as if the very planet could feel the shift in power. He raised his hand, and the air around him crackled with energy. He had no idea how to control it, but the power was there, undeniable and raw. He clenched his fist, and without thinking, a pulse of energy shot from his hand, blasting a small rock to pieces. The human's heart raced, a mix of fear and excitement flooding him. He had never imagined anything like this was possible. How could this happen to him? He wasn't a warrior. He wasn't even from a powerful species. He was just a human, an explorer, someone who had stumbled upon a legend and accidentally become a part of it. His mind struggled to understand the situation. The armor had not just given him strength, it had changed him. He could feel the armor's consciousness merging with his own. It wasn't just a piece of equipment, it was alive. He could sense its ancient wisdom, its knowledge of the galaxy, of the battles fought, and the civilizations that had risen and fallen. He was connected to something far greater than himself, and yet he was alone, standing in a cave on a forgotten planet. He took another step, and the armor responded. The symbols etched into its surface began to glow brighter, as if reacting to his thoughts. A voice, deep and powerful, echoed in his mind, though it wasn't spoken aloud. It wasn't a voice he recognized, but it felt familiar, like a distant memory calling out to him. You have awakened the armor. Now you must decide how to use it. The human staggered back, startled by the voice in his mind. He had not expected this. He had not expected anything like this. The power was overwhelming. How could he possibly control something this immense? But the voice was calm, almost comforting. It didn't demand anything of him. Instead, it offered him a choice: a choice that no one had ever been given before. The human stood there, feeling the weight of the decision ahead of him. He could feel the eyes of the galaxy on him, even though he had no idea who or what was watching. The alien races would know about the armor soon, and they would come. He could already sense their curiosity, their fear. As the human emerged from the cave, he could feel the weight of the armor upon him. The strange, pulsating energy from it flowed through his body like an endless current, making him feel both invincible and vulnerable at the same time. The sky above the planet was dark, and the air smelled like the promise of a storm. But it wasn't the weather that made him feel uneasy. It was the knowledge that he wasn't alone anymore. The galaxy was watching him. Alien species from across the stars were aware that the armor had been unlocked, and they were coming. But why had the armor chosen him? Was it a mistake, or had it known something about him that he didn't yet understand? With each step, he felt his senses sharpen. His vision was clearer, his hearing more precise. He could feel the pulse of the planet beneath his feet, as though he were somehow connected to it. The armor had given him an edge he didn't know how to use yet. He raised his hand, and the energy around him rippled as he focused on it. For a moment, he felt the possibility of power, real power, coursing through him. But how could he control it? The voice that had spoken in his mind earlier returned, calm but urgent. You are the bearer of the armor now. Your actions will define the future of this galaxy. You must be careful with the power you wield. The human clenched his fists, trying to calm the storm of thoughts and emotions that were rushing through him. He wasn't ready for this. He wasn't prepared to lead, to fight. He had always been just an explorer, just someone who wanted to learn. But the galaxy wouldn't give him the luxury of time. Already, he could feel the shifting energy in the air, a sign that the Council, the powerful leaders of the alien races, were aware of him. They would come soon, and when they did, they wouldn't just ask for the armor. They would take it, by force if necessary. He began to walk towards a nearby settlement, hoping to find some sort of shelter or answers. The path ahead seemed endless, but it was clear. The time for decisions had arrived. As he walked, he noticed strange creatures watching him from the shadows of the trees. Their eyes gleamed with curiosity and fear. Even the animals seemed to sense the power that had awakened in him. He was no longer just a human. He was something more, something that none of them could fully understand. The human's mind raced. He had read about the alien races in the galaxy, heard stories of their battles, their ancient histories. Some of these races were peaceful, others were warriors, but none had ever shown mercy to those who held the power of the armor. The alien races who had tried to claim the armor before had been ruthless. They had failed because they lacked the one thing that could unlock its full potential, the right mind. The armor hadn't chosen them, and it had rejected them for a reason. But why had it chosen him? What made him different? As he walked deeper into the settlement, the human could feel the tension in the air. People, humans, alien refugees, and even traders stopped what they were doing to stare at him. Whispers began to circulate, and he could hear the fear in their voices. The stories of the legendary armor had reached them, but they never thought anyone would actually wield it. Certainly not a human. "Who are you?" one of the aliens asked hesitantly, stepping forward. It was a tall, green-skinned creature with sharp eyes and a lean build. "What do you want?" The human paused, unsure how to respond. Could he trust these people? They had seen him, felt his presence, and now they feared him. He could understand that fear. They had no idea who he was, or what he had become. The armor's power was something they couldn't fathom, and he wasn't sure he could either. "I don't know," the human answered honestly. "I didn't ask for this, but now it's mine." The alien seemed to hesitate, then nodded slowly, understanding the gravity of the situation. "The Council will come for you. They'll want the armor back. You should leave. You're not safe here." "Where can I go?" the human asked, his voice tinged with frustration. "What do I do?" "You must learn to control the armor. the alien said softly. Only then can you decide your fate. Without control, you're just a weapon waiting to be used by someone else. The Council will see you as a threat, but they won't hesitate to destroy you if they think you can't be controlled. The words weighed heavily on the human's heart. He wasn't ready to be anyone's weapon, least of all the Council's. He didn't want to be a pawn in their games, but he also knew that if he didn't learn how to control the armor, he would be destroyed, and the galaxy might fall into chaos. The human glanced at the sky, the stars hidden behind thick clouds. He wasn't sure how much time he had. The Council was coming, and they would not stop until they had the armor back. He needed to prepare, and he needed to understand what the armor was truly capable of. The alien had been right. Without control, he was just a weapon. But if he could learn to control the armor, he could change the galaxy. He could do what no one else had ever done before. Where can I learn? The human asked, his voice steady. Who can teach me? The alien's gaze softened. There are places hidden on other worlds. Ancient temples, forgotten by time. They hold knowledge about the armor, and those who have worn it before you. But finding them won't be easy. The Council has been hunting these places for centuries. They'll stop at nothing to keep the secrets hidden. But if you are to survive, you must find these places, learn from them. Only then will you understand what you are capable of. The human nodded, understanding the challenge ahead. The weight of the armor felt heavier now, as if the universe was watching him, waiting for his next move. He couldn't do this alone. He needed allies, but trust was a luxury he could no longer afford. The armor had chosen him, but it was clear that it didn't come with instructions. It was up to him to figure out how to control it, and whether he would use its power to protect the galaxy or destroy it. The first step was clear. He had to leave this place before the Council arrived. Time was running out. With one last glance at the alien settlement, the human turned and walked into the unknown, determined to find the answers he needed. But he knew the road ahead would not be easy. The galaxy was a vast, dangerous place, and now he was a part of it, whether he liked it or not. And the galaxy would never be the same again. The human didn't know how long he had been traveling, but the weight of the armor was starting to feel familiar. It was no longer just a piece of technology, but a part of him. He could feel its energy flowing through his body, constantly humming just beneath the surface of his skin. It was as if the armor was alive, waiting for him to unlock more of its power, urging him to use it. But he wasn't ready to wield it fully. He needed time to understand what he had become and what the armor had chosen him for. The days blurred together as he moved from planet to planet, each one more dangerous than the last. The farther he traveled, the more alien eyes he felt upon him. It wasn't just the Council anymore. Word had spread, and other factions, pirates, mercenaries, rogue scientists, were all hunting for the armor, all eager to take it for themselves. They didn't understand its true potential. All they saw was a weapon, a tool to be used in their endless struggle for power. But the human wasn't ready to be anyone's tool. He wasn't just going to give up the armor to whoever asked for it. He was determined to learn its secrets, to figure out how to control it, and to decide for himself what he would do with it. He had to find the ancient places the alien had spoken about, temples hidden on forgotten worlds where the armor's true knowledge was kept. But finding them wasn't going to be easy. They were buried deep, hidden from the eyes of the galaxy's most powerful forces. And the Council, the galaxy's ruling elite, would stop at nothing to keep these secrets buried. The human found himself standing at the edge of a new planet, his eyes scanning the horizon. This one was different from the others, unmarked, as if it had been forgotten by the rest of the galaxy. The air was thick with humidity, and the jungle stretched endlessly before him. In the distance, he could make out the ruins of what looked like an ancient structure, half sunk into the earth. The markings on its walls were worn with age, but there was something about them that called to him, a pull deep within the core of his being. This was it, the place he had been searching for. He pushed through the dense foliage, the armor adapting to his every movement. His steps were quicker, his muscles stronger, and his senses sharper. The environment seemed to react to him now, the air growing still as if holding its breath. There was something powerful about this place. The energy of the armor resonated with the planet itself, and the human could feel it. The ruins were ancient, their walls crumbling and covered in thick vines. Yet there was an undeniable presence here, as if something had once lived within these walls, something powerful and wise. He carefully moved through the ruins, scanning the walls for any clues, any sign of the knowledge he needed. And then he found it. A door, hidden behind a wall of stone, revealed itself as he approached. It wasn't like the others. It was different. The symbols etched into the door were glowing, pulsing with a strange light. The armor hummed in response, as if recognizing the significance of the door. Without thinking, the human placed his hand on the door, feeling the energy of the armor resonate with the ancient symbols. The door opened, revealing a chamber filled with old, dusty relics. In the center of the room, there was a pedestal with a glowing orb resting on top. The orb seemed to call to him, its light flickering in time with his heartbeat. He approached the pedestal cautiously, feeling the weight of the moment. This was it, the knowledge he had been searching for. The key to understanding the armor, the key to controlling its power. As he reached out to touch the orb, the voice returned, as deep and ancient as ever. You have come far, bearer of the armor, but this is only the beginning. To control the power, you must first understand the price of it. The armor does not choose its bearer lightly. It tests those who wear it. Only the worthy can unlock its full potential. Are you prepared for the consequences? The human paused, his hand just inches from the orb. He could feel the power radiating from it, but there was a warning in the voice, a warning that resonated deep within him. The armor had already begun to change him. He could feel its influence on his thoughts, on his emotions. It was tempting to reach out and take the orb, to seize the power that was within his grasp. But the voice was right. He wasn't sure if he was ready for this. Was he truly worthy of the armor's power? What would it cost him? He pulled his hand back, unsure. The temptation was strong, but something inside him, some lingering trace of humanity, told him to be cautious, to think carefully before he made a decision that could change everything. The choice is yours, the voice said, its tone filled with ancient wisdom. The armor will not choose for you, but once the decision is made, there is no turning back. The human closed his eyes, taking a deep breath. He had to decide. He had to understand what it meant to wield this power, and whether he was willing to pay the price. Suddenly, the air around him shifted, the room growing colder. The energy from the orb intensified, and he could feel the weight of the galaxy pressing down on him. The council, the other factions, soon they would come for him, for the armor. He could feel it in his bones. He had no time to hesitate. With a final, steadying breath, the human reached out and touched the orb. The moment his fingers made contact, the chamber around him seemed to come alive. The walls glowed brighter, and the air crackled with energy. The armor responded, fusing with his body more fully than ever before. The human could feel the knowledge flooding into his mind. Ancient, powerful, overwhelming. The armor's secrets, the galaxy's hidden history, all poured into him in an instant. For a brief moment, the human's vision blurred, and the world around him seemed to spin. He was no longer just a man. He was something more, something vast. The power surged through him, filling him with a sense of purpose, a sense of destiny. He could feel the galaxy stretching out before him, its secrets laid bare. And then, as quickly as it had come, the vision faded. The room was still. The orb no longer glowed, its light dimming to nothing. The human stood in the center of the chamber, his mind reeling from the knowledge he had just gained. He understood now. The armor was not just a weapon. It was a force, a key to unlocking the true power of the galaxy. But with that power came a price. The human had taken the first step, But the journey was far from over. The council would come. They would test him, challenge him. But the human was ready now. He knew what he had to do. The galaxy was on the brink of change, and he was the one who would change it. The human stood at the edge of the ancient chamber, the weight of the knowledge he had just gained still heavy on his mind. The armor, now fully integrated with his body, pulsed with energy as if reacting to his thoughts. The secrets of the galaxy, its lost histories and hidden powers, flowed through him like an unstoppable tide. He could feel the vastness of it all, the potential, but also the responsibility that came with it. His heart raced as he thought about the future, his future, and what the council would do once they discovered that the armor had chosen him. He was no longer just a man. He was something more. With the knowledge came clarity. He understood now why the armor had chosen him. It was not by accident. The ancient civilizations that had created the armor, who had used it to shape the galaxy, had known that only someone like him could bear its weight. The armor had recognized his potential, his ability to think, to question, and to lead. But there was one thing that was clear. The armor was not just a tool. It was a challenge, and he would have to face it head-on. The human turned away from the pedestal, his mind focused on the task ahead. He had to leave this place. The knowledge was important, but it was not enough. He had learned about the ancient temples and the armor's origins, but there was much more to uncover. He had to find the other pieces of the puzzle, the other hidden places where the true power of the armor could be unlocked. But first, he needed to deal with the immediate threat, the council. He stepped out of the ruins and into the jungle, the air still thick with humidity. The trees swayed gently in the breeze, and the distant call of alien creatures echoed in the distance. The planet was quiet now, almost as if it too was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. The human knew the council was coming. They would stop at nothing to take the armor from him, to control it for their own ends. But he wasn't going to let them, not without a fight. He had learned from the orb that the council was more than just a group of powerful leaders. They were ancient, their reach stretching across the galaxy, controlling everything in their path. They had seen the armor as a tool to be used, a weapon to maintain their power. But the human knew better. He understood now that the armor was not meant to serve anyone. It was meant to change the galaxy, to shift the balance of power. And if he was going to survive, he would need to do what no one had ever done before, take the fight to the council. The journey would not be easy. The council had armies, spies, resources that the human couldn't even begin to comprehend. But the armor had given him something more. It had given him the ability to see beyond the physical. He could sense things now, things that others couldn't. He could feel the ebb and flow of power across the galaxy, the movements of ships in distant sectors, the whispers of the council's spies. It was overwhelming, but it was also a gift. He could use it to his advantage. As he made his way toward the edge of the jungle, the human paused. In the distance, he saw the faint outline of a ship. His pulse quickened. Could it be the council's forces, or was it someone else? He had no time to waste. The armor had given him the ability to sense danger, to react before it even arrived. And right now, something told him that this ship was important. It could be his ticket out of here, his chance to find allies who would help him in his fight against the council. He picked up his pace, moving quickly through the dense undergrowth. The ship came into view, a sleek, dark vessel that looked out of place on a planet like this. It was clearly advanced, with markings that the human recognized from his studies, the insignia of an independent faction that had once clashed with the council. This was no ordinary ship. This was a ship that could help him. As he approached, a figure stepped out from behind the ship. It was an alien, tall and imposing, with dark, sharp eyes that seemed to pierce right through him. The alien's gaze shifted to the armor. And for a moment, there was an understanding between them. The armor was unmistakable. It was a symbol of power, and the alien knew exactly what it meant. "You found it," the alien said, his voice low and filled with respect. "I have." The human replied, his tone steady. "And I'm not going to let the council take it from me." The alien nodded, stepping closer. "We've been watching. We know what you're up against, but you can't do this alone. The council is too strong. They'll come for you, and they won't stop until they've destroyed you." The human frowned. He had expected this. The council was ruthless, and they would stop at nothing to reclaim the armor. But he wasn't about to back down. He had come too far. And now that he had the knowledge, he knew what he had to do. "I'm not alone," the human said firmly. "I've learned things the council doesn't know. I have the power to change the galaxy, and I intend to use it." The alien studied him for a long moment, then finally nodded. "Then let's get you off this planet. We'll take you to our base. From there, we can plan." The human didn't hesitate. He knew that the path ahead would be fraught with danger, but he had come this far, and he wasn't about to stop now. With the armor, with the knowledge he had gained, he could challenge the council. He could fight back. As they made their way toward the ship, the humans' thoughts were already racing ahead. The council had no idea what was coming for them. They thought they controlled everything, but they had underestimated him, underestimated humanity. And that was going to be their mistake. The galaxy was about to change, and it would be humans who would lead the charge. He was no longer just a man. He was a force, a bearer of the armor, a symbol of hope or destruction, depending on which side of the fight you were on. He had the power now. And the galaxy would never be the same.